Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So if you haven't been here before, my name is Beth and I'm a seamstress and I make knit and crochet content here and on Instagram. So as you'd have already seen from the title and the thumbnail, today is just going to be the March podcast. I feel like I say this in every podcast. I can't believe we're already at the end of March. I just feel like this year has gone by so quick. I feel like I don't have too much to talk about today, which I guess is a good thing because I'm on a little bit of a time crunch, but I do have a couple of finished objects, a couple of new whips and also some acquisitions. So yeah, this is going to follow the traditional kind of podcast style, and I guess we will just get straight into it. So the first thing is actually what I'm wearing, and I feel like started off this month really strong. I was like on a roll. This knit up, I feel like so fast. I think I knit this within like 2 weeks, and I'm normally a monogamous knitter, so yeah, I do just work on kind of like one thing at a time, but this is my own design, I should say as well. I do pretty much only self-draft patterns, but I've actually written up a pattern for this, and this is going into test. It's in test currently, like right at the very start of it. So last year I knit the first sample of this cardigan. It's just like really simple, really basic, like kind of slightly oversized raglan cardigan. It's got jam and short rows in the neck, and my first sample was the turquoise one. It's got a ribbed button band, and I graded the whole thing and I wrote the pattern, and then I knit this as my second sample in the next size up. So yeah, this is just the second sample of that. It's knit using 2 strands of Drops Flora and 1 strand of like, it was like a light lace weight boucle. I don't know how well this is going to focus. Instead of using a mohair, because that's what my first sample used, and what it kind of just makes it look a bit more rustic without it actually feeling rustic. Like this still feels very soft. I guess I can button this up a little bit. I do kind of want to re-block just the front bit of this rib on the neckline, on the back one, but yeah, it's got this like, I don't want to say high neckline, but I guess kind of like tight neckline, which I love. I'm really not a huge fan of necklines that are wide if it's not deliberate. Like I do like a boat neck or a v-neck, but when it's meant to be a crew, I feel like I like it all the way up here. So yeah, this was the first thing that I knit this month, and it's all got 1x1 rib, but the button band on this one is obviously double knit. I feel like you can't even really see at first glance like where the button band comes from, but if I turn it around you can definitely see it on the back. And I mean the buttonholes are almost, I feel like, invisible, because with the boucle it really has like low stitch definition. So yeah, like I said, this has gone into test now. I for the longest time have been wanting to get out more patterns, and since I only self-draft things pretty much, I have got like a backlog of designs that I want to write up. There's definitely going to be some more testicles coming very soon, hopefully. So if you did apply for this one and wasn't accepted, I'm so sorry, but please do apply for future tests. I feel like it's the same with most testicles that come out. I get like a huge influx for like maybe 5 out of 10 sizes, and then it's harder, you know, you don't get as many applicants for some. So yeah, if you did apply and didn't get picked, definitely keep your eyes peeled for more coming up. But yeah, I don't feel like I have too much to say about this. I feel like I've spoken about it so many times in my recent knitting vlogs. I was working on this, and obviously the one that I made last year as well, and I did knit this one like a little bit longer, so I'm super happy with this. I've got so much wear out of it already. I feel like it's just such a basic, like easy to wear piece. I feel like I'm not really someone that usually reaches for a lot of grey yarns or like I don't know, basic pieces or like things that are a bit more interesting. But I think sometimes just in terms of like wearability, it just is easier to have pieces like this. And yeah, like I said, I have already worn this so much. The yarn combination is so nice. Obviously it doesn't have the mohair in it. I don't really find mohair that itchy, but it's definitely not something that you want to wear like every single day. But if you didn't want to hold 2 strands of the flora and then a lace weight, you can just kind of hold like a worsted. So I think the testing period for this is about 12 weeks. So hopefully this will be coming in June. But yeah, like I said, I don't feel like there's too much to say really about this piece. Oh, actually, no, there is one more thing. So obviously this is a raglan, and I feel like people love to hate on raglans, which is fair enough. But the way that I have graded it, so there's 10 sizes, it fits up to it's intended to fit up to a 66-inch bust. But because there's 6 inches of positive ease, you could get away with up to a 72-inch bust. It would just probably be a little bit more fitted. But what I did, the first 4 sizes graded like a normal raglan. So you increase every other row for the yoke, but then the next 3 have a different increase rate, and then the last 3 have a different increase rate. So basically on when you get into the like top, I don't know, 6 sizes, the body sections increase more rapidly than the sleeve sections. Obviously we're going to see how this all comes together in the test, but the idea is that you don't end up with a super deep yoke, because you kind of increase more, and so you do less rounds, so you don't end up with super low armpits and something that fits really weird. So yeah, touch wood, fingers crossed, the maths looks like it's working out. But yeah, my wonderful testers are starting to swatch and get into the making process, so hopefully we'll be able to see more how it actually works up, because I think it's one thing looking at like a spreadsheet in theory and then actually having a final piece. So yeah, hopefully this should, I guess, I don't know, I guess you would call this like a compound raglan, but I know that compound raglans typically like increase normally and then they have a load more increases on just the body section, whereas mine's like just a gradual across the whole thing. So yeah, touch wood, this will be coming soon. If you're interested, definitely head over to Instagram for all up-to-date information about patterns and also testicles. My only other like finished piece, I don't know. Okay, well, let me just show you this one quickly. So in my last podcast, I think I had nearly finished this sock, and I said I was going to take a break from it and knit other socks and then maybe come back to it, and that's what I've done. I've knit other socks, but I think all I had to do was, this looks really funny with my fingers in it, was basically finish the toe and Kitchener stitch. So I feel like, yeah, she's not super interesting. It's just one sock, but I thought I would show it for completeness sake. This is following the Summerlee sock project book, just the normal, just the ribbed fingering weight sock. I wasn't really loving working on this. I think it's kind of to do with the yarn. This yarn was super cheap, and just, I don't know, it feels fine knitted up, but working on it I wasn't loving. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a break, knit on some other things, and then I might knit the second sock to make the pair. I feel like I will just do it because I don't like the idea of just having this one random sock, and if I don't love the yarn then I'm not going to use it for anything else anyway, so I might as well just make the pair. And trying this on, fits me perfect. It's ribbed, so obviously it's super stretchy, and yeah, like I said, I don't think this feels bad to wear. I just didn't like the feeling of it, like obviously when you tension the yarn, like running through my fingers, it just felt a bit like kind of scratchy. So I think I will go back and knit this, but I didn't this month. I just literally finished this one off. And then my other, I guess, actually probably finished object that I finished this month is another pair of socks. So I feel like I've been definitely getting into the sock mojo. So I've been wearing my one pair of finished socks. I finished them earlier this year, but never really got around to wearing them. I didn't really know how I was going to feel about it, but I just thought we've got to commit, we've got to pick a day, and I actually really enjoy wearing them. I thought they would make my feet like super hot and sweaty because obviously they're just 100%, well, they're like 75% wool, 25% nylon, like, or whatever the normal percentages are. So I thought like the wool is going to drive me insane, and I didn't know as well how I was going to feel about, like, obviously with knit socks the stitches are much bigger than like commercially bought super stretchy socks, and yeah, so I wasn't sure, but I really enjoyed like wearing them, and I have been enjoying wearing them. I feel like with socks I'm definitely more of a product knitter than a process knitter. I love to knit garments and I love to have the finished piece. I feel like with socks I just want to wear the socks. I'm not always the biggest lover of actually knitting them. So after I finished that blue one, I was like, do you know what? We're going to make some DK weight socks, because I think that the kind of instant gratification that you get is going to fuel me along in the process. I think that's one thing that I struggle with, is with garments I anticipate that they'll take a while, so it doesn't bother me. I feel like with socks I presume they're going to be way quicker, and then they're like actually not so much, because the yarn is so fine. Like, yeah, you can knit them quicker, but I don't think I give them the same time and attention that I give my garments. So like, for example, I'll take socks with me to knit on at work on my lunch break, so I probably get about 45 minutes working on them, but then I get annoyed that in a week I haven't made that much process, but I've only worked on them for like 3 hours the entire week. So anyway, last month, if you caught the podcast or if you go back and watch it, one of my acquisitions was this Drops Fiesta. So when Drops was having one of their 30% off sales, I bought some Alaska for another project that I probably won't be getting to like anytime soon, but it was on sale and I wanted to try it. And I just chucked on a couple balls of this because I firstly wanted to try it out. It's a superwash, so 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and yeah, I wanted to try DK weight socks. I wear a lot of thicker socks like kind of over the winter and this time of year, because I tend to wear my boots to work instead of my trainers. And my red pair of socks, I've basically knit the cuff a bit shorter, so they look good in trainers but they're a bit too short to wear like in my boots. So this colorway was literally one of the only things that was left, but I thought it was super cute. Like, it was all out of stock. I can't remember exactly what the colorway is, but I mean, you can see it's like this self patterning. It's got these like big chunks of white, pink, purple. There's even like these sections here are actually kind of like a navy blue, but I think it just kind of reads more purple when you look at it. And I actually was able to kind of almost get them to match. So I bought 3 balls of this and I only used 1 and a bit, but I just wasn't sure how much I was going to need. I was trying to gauge it online, and again, this is following the Summerlee sock project. This is just the like classic DK weight sock, but in her version she has like a rolled stockinette top, and I thought that was gonna really bother me because I didn't want something on my ankle to just naturally roll down. So I opted to just do a rib. So essentially I took her stitch counts and just, yeah, winged it. It's just a heel flap and gusset, but I think, yeah, so this was the first one that I did. So obviously cast it on with the fresh ball of yarn, knit down. You can see here, like, obviously where it's going round and round, and then this is like back and forth, and then down to the toe. And then I had like a tiny bit left over, and it was enough that I like didn't not want to use it. So I just thought, do you know what, I'm just gonna cast on the second sock with it, because I thought if it's in the rib and I had to join a new ball, it wouldn't look that weird, because obviously the rib kind of like disrupts it anyway. So I cast it on with the end of like this ball, so it kind of goes like this in terms of the pattern. And then when I came to join the next ball, there was basically like a chunk of purple and then it went into the white, which is where I had ended on the previous ball, which just kind of like was good luck. So I basically cut like maybe about 1 meter off of the second ball, joined it on, and it kind of almost makes them match up. So you will be able to see here that this white section is quite a bit bigger because this is the end of one ball and then the entirety of this one. So yeah, I guess it kind of like would match up here. And then from here, it's just always ever so slightly off. I want to say it's maybe like three or 4 rounds off the matching, but I didn't anticipate that they were going to match at all. So I think that's pretty good going. If you're not someone that's into socks, maybe this absolutely is of no interest to you, but yeah, I think when they're on my feet and when you just look at them, they do almost look like an exact pair. So yeah, they are my DK weight socks. I have yet to wear these because it actually got like randomly warm for like a week here, so I wasn't really wearing thick socks, and truthfully I do need to weave in my ends. Hopefully I can do that this weekend, and then it's actually sunny now, but it's still cold, so hopefully we get some wear out of these. So on to whips. I was hoping that I was gonna get this next piece done before I film this video. I feel like I was on a roll with it. I was on a roll with the body. Basically this is knit on 5mm, so I was like, I'm gonna fly through this, let me put it on. So if you caught my winter / spring knitting plans, you may have seen that I have been wanting to design something like this. I feel like, I don't know, can you see the whole thing? It's basically gonna be this tie in the front, all over lace kind of motif cardigan. Let me stand up. So it's got these I-cord edges, ties at the front, and then these like tight sleeves. And this yarn is the Drops brushed alpaca silk. I've had this in stash since I want to say last summer. This has always been the plan for this yarn. So yeah, I knitted on the body of this, but like pretty quickly, I would say. So this month I finished my cardigan, and then I told myself I couldn't cast on anything else until the pattern was done, because if I have the choice to knit or write a pattern, I will knit, and I wasn't doing the pattern. So finished that. I think I took maybe like a week off from garment knitting. All I was working on was my DK weight socks, and then this is what I cast on afterwards, and I was flying through. It's like a drop, it's not a drop shoulder, I guess it's kind of like a set-in sleeve, but essentially I cast it on at the back, did German short rows, knit down, knit forward, connected, and then did the I-cord edging and picked up for the sleeve afterwards. However, this sleeve I have really not enjoyed working on, truthfully. So let me talk about the body first, I guess. The original design for this was gonna be like, I'll try and put some reference photos up here. It was meant to have like ruffles on the front. I could still add them. I'm not 100% sure because I kind of do just enjoy the way that this looks currently, but I have never knit I-cord before this piece, and everyone I feel like hates to knit I-cord. I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's got obviously the I-cord on the body like as a border, and then these front bits just continue down into the ties, which I think that this just looks really nice in this yarn. I don't know, I was worried that it was gonna, I don't know how to explain this, like I was worried that doing it in this yarn these ties were gonna stick together, because frogging this is the worst thing in the world, I'll tell you now. I have had to frog parts of this, but actually the friction of it rubbing together actually really doesn't make them stick. I don't know why. I think maybe because it's already knitted up. So this worked out super well. I'm really pleased with how this came out. I think it definitely is suited to a project like this, which is maybe a bit more delicate. This is super lightweight. So this is actually the recommended needle size for this yarn, is a needle size 5, but let me show you. I think a lot of people use this as a substitute for mohair, and it is thicker than a mohair, but it is not what you would typically knit on a 5mm. And obviously you can see it does give quite a gappy, airy fabric, but that's kind of what I wanted to go for with the lace stitch anyway. I think it kind of like makes sense in terms of the overall piece. And yeah, obviously again, this is my own design, I should probably say. I'm just using a lace stitch from a book of stitches that I have, and it's kind of like these little groups of 4. I kind of think they look like little windows almost, but yeah, anyway, did the body, was on a roll, and I'm still undecided on the ruffles, so I thought, you know what, we'll pick up sleeves, we'll knit the sleeves, we'll block it, I'll wear it for a bit, I can always add the ruffles later. I think I'm also only on my 3rd ball of this yarn. These are 140 meters in length, the balls, and yeah, I'm literally only on my 3rd ball. I think if I'm not on my 3rd, I'm only on my 4th. So considering we've only got 1 sleeve to go, I still have quite a significant amount of this ball left. But okay, anyway, let's get on to talking about the sleeve. So I originally picked up for a different stitch count. Basically the way that I was gonna do it was I would kind of have another 2 of these lace repeats, and I picked up, and there's German short rows worked in the top of the sleeve here. So I did the German short row portion, and I think I got down to like here, which if you follow me on Instagram is the picture that I posted. And I could just tell I was like, I'm not going to be happy with the sleeve, it's going to be too baggy. So I think the body of this is bunching a bit because of the way that I've done the I-cord, but once it's blocked, this will all like obviously flatten out a bit. And I thought, I'm not going to be happy. And I was watching Laura Penrose, one of her like podcasts or her vlog something, and she was like talking about frogging a pattern and going back and changing something, and she was like, I've never regretted going back and changing something I wasn't happy with. I've only regretted like carrying on and having known it was going to be wrong the whole time. And I just thought, yeah, we need to frog it. So frogged back the sleeve, picked up like quite a lot less stitches. So this lace like motif is like a repeat of 6. Obviously when it's in the round as well, you don't have to have like extra edge stitches. You might not know what I'm talking about, but anyway, it had to be a multiple of 6. So I think I picked up 12 less stitches, and I thought I'd rather it be tighter than looser because it can always stretch on my arm, but I didn't want it to be really baggy. And the other thing I'm conscious of as well is that I haven't blocked this yet, and obviously if this grows in any way, I didn't want it to be super big. So I went back, frogged, re-knit it. The problem is now the circumference is too small for the way that I normally knit sleeves. So I don't actually normally knit in magic loop. I normally knit in like half magic loop. So I don't kind of like trying to like think how to explain it. With magic loop, obviously you have like the 2 loops either side, and then you have like your 2 rows of stitching. What I will normally do is like, okay, let me just give you a quick sneak peek into this next project because I think I can kind of explain to you more what I mean. Yeah, what I'll normally do is imagine this is your sleeve circumference. I'll have like 1 needle here, and then I'll just pull out and have the loop at the end and start of row instead of having like another loop down at the other end. But I couldn't do that because the circumference was too small. So I started knitting the top of it on magic loop and did not like it. I find that when you go to like push the stitches along, it got really tight. It was really difficult to maneuver things back and forth. So then I switched my technique. So I have this set of these tiny little shorties that I never use. I've never liked using them. I've tried a couple times and I thought, do you know what, let's give it another go. So I actually had a 5mm, and these are the same brand that I use as my normal knitting needles. They're just the Knit Pro ones. So I was like, okay, they're literally exactly the same, they're just shorter. Have been knitting in the round on these. Also did not love. I really just can't get on board with the shorties. I don't know how people do it. I find that I knit really slow, and it also makes me more prone to hand cramp. So I was kind of got to a point where like I would literally knit a couple of rows every night and then I just put it down, which is not normal for me. I normally spend a lot of time knitting, so like in the evenings I probably knit from like maybe 7 till 10 every night, after work, like after dinner and stuff, and then also like on weekends and stuff. Obviously I get a bit more in, and work lunches, whatever. But I just really found myself like, this is a slog to get through. So I think I then knit like, yeah, like a portion to here on the shorties, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore, so went back onto the magic loop, which I found was easier further down the arm. I think the problem that I was having with magic loop before was when I was doing the short rows, it was just like really a pain in the ass because you're constantly turning back and forth as well. So yeah, knit to the end of the sleeve in magic loop, and I think this does look a little bit short, but I am anticipating this can grow really easily. So anyway, casted this cuff off last night. I think I literally only had to do this tiny little portion past the last motif, cast off the sleeve, and I have to put this down for a little bit because I think I have to mentally prepare myself to do the second sleeve. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, do the short rows and like a tiny amount of length on this side. So like, yeah, kind of down to here in the shorties. Because like I said, I think it's just easier when you're doing short rows not to have to constantly break in the middle and like magic loop and flick back and forth. It just feels really like clunky. But yeah, so I think I'm going to do this portion in shorties and then try and just knit the rest in magic loop. But yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like, so obviously when I was doing the magic loop, when you come to like push the stitches over this like, I guess like hump in the needle, it was just so tight, and there were rows that I was literally like this, like trying to push the stitches back and forth, which I don't understand why that was happening, because obviously I knit the entirety of this in 5mm, had no issue. Knit the I-cord in 4.5, I can't even remember now, and had no issues. I think it's just an issue with the small circumference. So the other thing that I might do for the next time I do magic loop is, instead of just like splitting it down the middle, I might actually split it into like 3 points, so that the amount of stitches that I have working at one point is always shorter. It just took me so long. I thought this was going to be such a quick piece because obviously it's in 5mm, it's pretty tight fit and it's not oversized. You're not really ever working with too many stitches in one go. But yeah, I think I just wasn't enjoying it. I think the second sleeve should be easier as well in theory, because I already know my pickup rate. I've written down all of my instructions for the short rows, for the length of sleeves, so I can just kind of take this with me to work, etc., and just, yeah, work on it and not have to worry about trying it on. I find that is the way with me with sleeves. I like to kind of like get one done at home where I can like try things on, experiment with the length and the width and stuff, and then the second sleeve is typically easier going. But yeah, that was a lot of rambling about this cardigan. I love how it looks, okay, don't get it twisted. I really am enjoying how it looks. I haven't got anything like this in my wardrobe. I think it's so dainty, delicate, it's cute. It's kind of going to be more of like, I guess, a going out cardigan, or like something to wear with like a nice summer dress. Like I said, I think this body's bunching, but I think it's the tension difference with the I-cord to like the body, and obviously because it's lace it will kind of like open up a bit. And yeah, I guess I'll quickly stand up as well. So I increased out to here, and then this bottom section, so you can kind of see it's on like this diagonal, right? So from here down, this is all shaped with short rows as well, because obviously if you've seen the reference photos and you get what I mean. But in the reference photos, there's obviously the ruffle here, and then the ruffle kind of comes down, and it comes down like at this angle on the diagonal. So yeah, that's kind of why I did that. I think if I was to knit this again, I would actually maybe knit a size down for the body. I am considering writing a pattern for this, and you can pick like what size body you want for your bust compared to what size sleeve you want to fit tight to your arm. So it will tell you like the different pickup rates for every sleeve circumference, because there's no shaping in this sleeve either. And I was considering doing an I-cord around the cuff, but I actually think I might not. I think it looks okay as it is, and it doesn't like curl horribly or anything. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking about this now. But I just need to commit. I need to commit to knitting on the other side. Something that might have been an idea actually, potentially, would have been DPNs, but I don't have DPNs in this size, and I don't want to buy them. So yeah, this is super exciting. I'm really excited to have the final piece, and I've actually really enjoyed working on the body. This yarn is so soft. It's just the small circumference I'm just not loving. So the other whip I've been working on, I guess alongside that one, is this sock. And I think this is also an acquisition for this month. I can't remember if I bought it at the end of last month or beginning of this month. But after I finished my DK weight socks, this is what I casted on. And I felt like I had knit a couple of pairs, and I was pretty confident designing my own, because socks tend to use like the same stitch counts and stuff anyway. It's just kind of a case of like what you want to do with it. So this is a hand dyed yarn. It's this really like light, ever so slightly variegated pink, and this is from a yarn dyer called Folkestone Harbour Yarn. I bought it from a yarn shop, they stocked them. And yeah, I have been designing my very first own sock palm. So I wanted to do something a little bit more intricate, a little bit more complex. I picked this colour specifically for the design that I had in mind. So if you've been following along for a while, you might remember my grey cabled cardigan, or the cabled jumper that I knit for hobby that I'm going to be re-knitting very soon. It's kind of got like an all over cable and eyelet motif, and I decided I wanted to put it on a sock. So this is what it looks like. If you caught I think it might have been my most recent video, if not the one before, I basically was casting on that green cardigan and this sock at the same time. So yeah, I mean, you can see what it looks like. It's got cables and eyelets, and it's going to be a heel flap and gusset, because honestly that's the only type of heel that I have done so far, and they tend to fit me pretty well. But I find that I always slog through this bit. I think it's because you have to do so many purls on the like back side, which doesn't normally bother me. I don't have no problem knitting cardigans or anything. I think what I've learned about myself, and I think I learned it from that rib sock honestly, is I don't love purling on socks. I think it's to do with the thickness of the yarn and the needles, because I find that the way that I hold thinner needles in my hand is different to thicker needles, and yeah, I don't know, it gives me hand cramp faster. So I think I just don't love that. But I'm really close to finishing the bottom with this heel flap, which is silly. I feel like you can see maybe here where it's a bit more variegated. I don't know, I feel like it's getting really blown out on camera because it's so light. But yeah, you can see there's like an ever so slight colour change, but I think these look so cute. I think these will be really cute like in the spring and summer, like poking out from like cute trainers or whatever and like a skirt. And yeah, I really honestly don't feel like I have too much to say. I definitely have been not working on this much this week. I started taking the cardigan to work to try and motivate myself to work on it there, but this is such a like a weird sidetrack. I've been really getting back into playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I restarted it last week, and so that's honestly been taking up a little portion of my knitting time. So yeah, I haven't worked on this as much. I haven't been knitting this week, I think, just as much as I've normally been knitting, and it's Saturday today. Me and my boyfriend have also been away for a couple of days because it's his birthday this weekend, and just honestly had like been busier with other things more than I usually would be, so that's why I kind of haven't made too much more progress on these whips. But I'm excited to get these finished, and I also want to write up a pattern for these because I just think that they're super dainty and super cute. The yarn is also super nice. It's superwash and nylon, typical sock blend. This next one is the whip that I kind of just showed you. This is a very new whip. I literally casted this on last night. So like I said at the beginning, I am typically a monogamous knitter, so the most that I usually have on the go at one time is like a garment and a sock, or a garment and an accessory. However, last night, so we got back from our little getaway yesterday, and we got back a bit earlier than we thought we were going to, and I casted off the sleeve on that cardigan, and I just like couldn't bring myself to pick up for the other side. I just thought like, oh my god, this can take so long, and I really wasn't in the mood to knit on my sock. Like I said, I don't love knitting on socks as much. I think that if I only had sock whips on the go, I think I would knit on them just as quick. But it's the same like when I've been writing up patterns. I just think that if I have the option to knit on a garment knitting is really where like my passion is, my enthusiasm is. And I think the other thing that I was struggling with as well was like, obviously my sock project is on very small needles. 2.25 it's like a normal fingering weight, it's not a DK, and although the brushed alpaca is on a 5mm, it's still a thin yarn. And I think that's another thing that I was finding really annoying, is because I use like the Knit Pro interchangeables, where this like line is where the needles join, I find that it snags on the brushed alpaca because like the cord is like quite fine still, so when you knit on it single strand, it was just, I was getting sick of the feeling of it, honestly. I just wanted to knit on something that was on a thicker, like more substantial, I guess what you would consider like a normal yarn. And this is another thing that was in my winter spring plans video, and I've been really like just keep thinking about it, because I've been trying to figure out for the longest time how I actually want to construct this piece. So it's gonna be an off the shoulder, like one of them like fold down jumpers, one of them fold down top jumper things. Again, I'll try and pop some photos on the screen, and I've been like racking my brain of how I think it's going to be the best way to construct it. And sometimes when I think about something like for so long, I'm just like, I need to cast it on and I need to satisfy the like itch in my brain. And I had already swatched for this, so I think next week's video is going to be my like updated plans for kind of like spring summer, I guess. There's still going to be a lot of jumpers and kind of just like reviewing what I managed to do from the last plans and like what's carrying over. But yeah, I've been really wanting to knit this. So it's like this uneven rib, so it's like a 2 and then a 1 and then a 2 and then a 1. Let me put this on. This really does not look like much because like I said, I literally only casted this on last night. So the way that I'm thinking of doing it, and this might not work out, so we might frog, but I basically measured around the point that I wanted the top of this to sit, casted on as many stitches as I needed for the circumference. There's no short rows, nothing, because it's just obviously meant to sit flat. And then I'm increasing out at 4 points like a raglan. And then what I'm going to do is obviously connect under the arms, split for body and sleeve, probably cast on some on the underarm. Basically knit this down. It's kind of like a raglan, but without this top section, so there's no neck shaping. And then, okay, so I put a poll on my Instagram stories. If I remember, I'll put a screenshot up of the results. But basically, I didn't know whether to do the fold down so that the rib went in the same direction, so that the rib went down, or so that it went the other way. Now, obviously, if I do it the other way, I'm not going to be able to just pick up and knit down. And the vote is overwhelmingly to do it the opposite way. I think it's something silly, like 80% of people were like, yeah, knit it this way. I am a little bit concerned I'm not going to have enough yarn. So let me tell you about the yarn. This is the, okay, I look ridiculous with this still on. This is the Filicolana Peruvian Highland Wool. And this is in the colourway 975. Again, bought this in Denmark last year. This is recommended between a 4 and a 5mm needle. I'm doing this on a 4. I swatched on a 4.5 and then I swatched on a 4, and honestly I just think that the 4 looked better, it looked tighter. Really like my ribs to be like tight and crisp, so I've cast it on a 4, and this is almost a whole ball. So this is literally what I have left. I did swatch from this ball, but they weren't like even full size swatches, so I'm a little bit concerned. So I think I have 14 balls of this yarn. Now obviously I can order more if I need to. I tend to order a lot of like Filicolana, Suniscan, Isia, etc. from Knit. Knit with just spelled with 2 T's. I think they're like a London based yarn shop, but anyway, they stock this yarn, they stock a lot of those brands, so it's not going to be a problem to get more. Obviously the issue is going to be dye lots. I bought this in August last year in Denmark, so we're not getting the same dye lot again. So I think what my plan is to knit down, split for body and sleeves, knit the sleeves, then what I'm hoping, or what I'm thinking of doing, I'm not entirely sure yet, because I don't just want a little fold, okay? So like, I don't want it to just be like this deep. I want it to be like pretty significantly folded. Again, hopefully you'll be able to see from the reference photos. But obviously if it goes the other direction, I can't just pick up, knit down. So what I'm maybe considering doing, picking up stitches along the whole of this top edge. I need to figure out gauge wise how many stitches I need to pick up, because obviously my row gauge and my stitch gauge does not align, so I would need to figure out how many stitches to pick up to get the correct row gauge so that in length it fits. This might not make any sense. Then I need to cast on essentially downwards for the depth of the fold. Then what I'm thinking of doing is like what you would do if you were doing a double knit button band, right? So you knit along and then you knit together the last stitch on the fold piece to the stitch you picked up here through the back loop, turn, knit back the other way, turn, knit up, knit into that stitch. So as I'm knitting along, it's kind of seaming it for me, so I don't have to go back and sew it at the end. So yeah, what I'm thinking is doing sleeves, then the fold, and then just knitting as far on the body as I can go. What is annoying, right, is if I get to the end and think I could do with another ball or two and the dye lots don't match, the really irritating thing is going to be that this piece that I've casted on with, that's essentially going to be the entire panel under the fold, is probably the best place that I could have put a yarn that was a different dye lot, because it's going to be completely hidden. It's going to be completely under the fold. But unfortunately, if I realise I've run out of yarn, that's going to be the last thing that I'm going to realise, and this is the first thing that I need to knit. So, you know, can you see my problem here? So I have 14 balls. I'm just hoping and praying This is the exact same gauge that my boyfriend's Christmas jumper was in, which I knit him in the Let Lopi, and I was checking last night and they're pretty much almost an exact match. So it's like 100 meters, I think, for 50 grams. And his was also knit in 4mm all over rib. It was a raglan. So I'm pretty sure for his jumper, which is obviously, it was quite oversized on me, it took 14 balls. Now obviously on his it went all the way up, had a double folded collar. It was obviously quite a bit longer and maybe a little bit bigger than something I would knit for myself. But obviously for this piece, I need to have the entire fold over section. And I also don't think I'm going to do many decreases in the sleeves. I'm not sure yet, I might, because I do want it to be quite like a baggy fit. So basically what I'm saying is I don't know if I'm going to have enough. I might have enough. I'm just hoping and praying, and yeah, we're going to see. But I'm really enjoying this yarn so far, actually. It feels like super, I don't know, like, I don't want to say like substantial, but it's like a pretty solid yarn. I don't know if I think it feels so nice because I'm coming from a project on quite different yarn, but I like the way it feels. It's not super soft, but it isn't like rustic or anything. And yeah, hopefully I will have more updates on this, and if you're interested, I'll probably be posting them over on Instagram. I really like the colour as well, and I like that this like rib kind of stitch that I've picked. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll have enough. I'm not sure though. Okay, so I can see I've been speaking for 50 minutes and I honestly thought this would be a quick one. So we're gonna speed run through some acquisitions. So after I started working on my pink sock, I was like, went down a rabbit hole of hand-dyed yarns and I found the Fiber Fox, and this was one of their like oopsie colorways. Obviously I have wound this up again. It's in my most recent vlog, I think I was winding these up and stuff, but it's like this really kind of light minty green with these speckles of burgundy, and it's so nice. And I think I'm gonna knit, there's a lace sock pattern in the Summerly Sock Project book, and I think I'm more inclined to do lace in socks because it's not like cabling where there's loads of like pearls and moving things. Obviously lace is just knit two together or SSK and then like a yarn over, so I think it will be a bit easier on my hands. I think it'll be enjoyable, and I think this will just lend itself to, I don't know, just be a really nice sock. I'm really excited to use this. I think again this is like a superwash and nylon blend. And lastly, I was contacted by Knit Picks, which is a American based yarn company. They reached out and asked if they could send me some yarn. I absolutely do not have to speak about this. It was just like a gifted package, but since I acquired it this month, I thought I could show you because I might honestly use them for an upcoming design that I've got in mind, and I actually quite like a lot of the yarns that they sent me. So they basically sent me like a questionnaire and I had to say what colours and fibres and stuff I liked, and they picked out some things for me. And the challenge is going to be, they only sent me one ball of each thing, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them yet. I haven't actually knit with any of them, so these are just like first impressions. But this one that they sent me, this is their woolen cotton. So this is like a DK, and it's just, yeah, as it says, a 50% merino, 50% cotton in this like forest green colour. And as soon as I opened this, I was like, this colour is just so up my boyfriend's alley. He loves this colour of green. He owns so many clothes in this colour. And yeah, obviously this is only one hank, and what I'm hoping to make him with this is something along the lines of, God, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's the Hipster Hat by Petite Knit. It's the kind of like 2x2 all over rib beanie. So I've been trying to tell from Ravelry if I'm gonna have enough to make the men's hat size. So measured his head, he's smack bang in the middle of the men's measurements, which is perfect. I was worried his head was going to be too big. But yeah, I'm trying to gauge whether I'm going to have enough to do the entire full length of the hat for the double folded brim, or if I'm going to have to make a shorter one, because the problem is it's knit like from the bottom up, so I don't want to like knit all the way up the correct length and then not have enough to finish like the crown. So what I'm considering doing is doing like a provisional cast on in the middle, knitting up and knitting the top of the hat, and you know, casting that off so the top bit's done, and then re-picking back up along the provisional cast on and knitting down just as far as I can go basically, and then casting off around the bottom edge, which will be like the top of the fold back. I don't know if that makes any sense, but he said he wouldn't even mind having a slightly shorter hat, like one of the fisherman beanie things. It's just that I find it hard to gauge how much yarn I'm going to use. So that is my plan for this, hopefully. I have to see how that turns out. I should say as well, the yarn feels super nice. That's the one that I would like to have for myself. We'll just quickly speed run the other yarns that they sent me. So I think they sent me like maybe 5 in total. So they also sent me this gloss yarn, which again feels super nice. It definitely feels like almost airier than the first one, and this is 70% merino and 30% silk. So yeah, it's just in this navy color, super nice. I have honestly been loving navy recently. In my next plans video you'll see there's some navy coming up, but I think this color is so nice. It's just sad that I don't have too much of it. But one thing I've been wanting to make myself is actually a hot water bottle cover, which is a bit random, especially considering we're going into April. But when I have my monthlies, hot water bottles are sometimes the only things that will help me ease the pain. So I think it's something that I would actually get a lot of use out of. And I think it would be quite a good way to use up maybe some of these DK weight balls, because I've been looking at the Maxine hot water bottle cover by Laura Penrose, because the other thing as well is I really want to try my hand at colour work, but I'm scared to commit to a whole jumper, because I know that, like, because I knit English style, and I know that if you knit colour work and you knit English, you have to knit with one hand continental. I'm really bad at continental knitting, and so I think that if I start on a smaller project, it will ease me into it and I'll hopefully be able to get through some tension issues. So I'm considering, if I make that, maybe using this as one of the colours. They also send me some of their Wool of the Andes worsted in this burgundy colour. I don't know if you can see on the camera, there's kind of like all these different flecks of like yellows and browns and stuff going through, and this is 100% Highland Peruvian, or Peruvian Highland. So these are technically, I guess, the same. They're both Peruvian Highland wool. They're both the same weight and everything. This is, I don't know, what annoys me is that these are all in yards and my brain works in meters. But yeah, these are kind of the same but from different brands. They sent me some of that animation cotton. Let me tell you one thing. There is no way that this is a DK weight, even though it says it is. This, I would say, is definitely more of a sport or a fingering. But I don't know. This kind of reminds, it's like a mercerized cotton. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. There's this, which is the Cotton, which is cotton and linen. This feels super nice. I would really like to experiment with some more summer fibres this year. And yeah, this feels really nice. The problem that I have with knit picks is that if I then start to order things, I'm going to get hit with quite a big shipping fee. And I'm also on a yarn ban, so you won't be seeing this coming anytime soon, but I think it might be something that I do save up to actually get a purchase from. And the last one is this Shine worsted weight, which is cotton and modal. I don't know what modal is. I googled it. It's like a kind of like birch or something. But yeah, you can see as it says in the name, she's shiny. But this is really soft, I will say. I'm not always a lover of shiny yarns, but I think maybe if you were to make a more like going out top or something, this could be super cute. So yeah, like I said, I don't actually have to speak about any of the Knit Picks yarn. I just thought I would show you if you were interested, and obviously, yeah, it was gifted, so there's that. So yeah, I thought this would be a really quick one because I didn't have many finished projects, but we have still nearly gone for an hour. So like I said, hopefully next week is going to be my kind of next lot of plans. I think the way that I want to do it is I did my plans for like the first 3 months of the year, and then I'm going to do the next 3 months. So this will kind of be like the spring summer, because it's going to take us through April, May, June, and then at the end of like June, July, we'll do summer, autumn, which would be like July, August, September, and then we'll go into autumn, winter for October, November, December. So yeah, I'll kind of be going through like what I was able to achieve from my previous plans video, and yeah, anything that I've got going up, like coming up, some new yarns and stuff. So yeah, if you're interested and you want to see that, definitely stick around. Like I said at the beginning, cardigans in test, jumper is coming, and yeah, all up-to-date information is always on Instagram, so you can definitely find me over there. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. As always, I feel like the algorithm has been against me a little bit recently, so yeah, I really do appreciate it. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.